I want to go and look at the main casket. Is there anything around to mention a name?
Hmm. About these other coffins here. Edison.
All right, I want to open the casket and look inside.
Is
Can
There's
someone
I don't.
um is there so that's sent, is that like does that like remind us of like decomposition or of like a mineral or a chemical or anything? No. Okay. Hmm. 17. Okay.
Is this a piece of
Mm,
lore? Okay.
I don't like that it smells like raspberries.
yeah. Oh, that.
But even with our insufficient rolls, it's like, okay, this is kind of off. What is this? Right? Like we can have that reaction. Okay. Okay.
It's supposed to- Yeah, it's just.
I was tending to my food in the microwave when you said that and was like, oh, no, stuffed peppers. But like, I was just like, oh.
if no one stops me, I'm gonna try to continue switching the latches.
I'm just gonna move closer because I don't trust it.
Mm,
No, I want to preserve
uh,
it.
um. Mm, yeah, I was thinking of saying it, but now let we let it ride.
Okay, I'm gonna remove the lid.
Mm.
Uh,
Big choice right here, Kimmy.
yeah, I don't want to
No.
destroy it, so
Oh.
carefully.
I'll help.
Ooh, what?
But I thought he was upstairs, Zara.
Uh, yeah, he is upstairs.
But
Oh,
No,
I'm
no,
no,
jumping back.
no.
I'm jumping away from it.
what? What's going on?
Like Gil is literally trying to like push the lid back on by himself, but he's not strong enough. He's like, nope, nope. This is not Bella Lugosi. Okay. And they're like, what is happening?
Stop that! Stop! Put
But
that down.
he's like literally still like his whole shoulder is in it, and he's like, ah! And it's not going anywhere.
Kimmy, what's your dad's name?
Taryn. It was
Ter
Taryn.
Taryn? Is he-
What?
Not the best choice.
Worse.
Have you been alive down here this whole time?
Sarah, I don't think this is your father.
I'm fairly certain it's probably not your father. We know.
Well,
Yes. He was murdered.
Oh no.
uh, oh,
Blue
Oh,
screen of death.
I,
Yeah.
oh,
Uh,
And,
Go ahead, Cindrix.
oh, can you like try to get a sense of like what he is or they are in a way? Like, hmm, like how do I explain it? I guess,
He could
like is he
ask.
like on? Yeah, yeah, I guess he was asked, "What are you exactly?" Thanks.
Here to help.
Who are you?
Like, Sora's phone. Then what are you?
Maybe
But
who's a better question? Tumble shouts from the door. Huh. Nice to meet you. Tommel. He waves from the back.
Um,
Sorry. This is Cindrix and Skirin and you guys aren't gonna Gil and Quiera.
Queer drops to one knee.
You seem to know
He's
Sarah.
just
Oh, then
Queer looks kind of dazed.
I should say Sarah's slightly horrified because she just saw her dad dead yesterday. And now she's like, oh, it's not my dad, but I kind of feel like if you're alive, why are you in this crypt? Have others come down here before and spoken with you?
Mm.
Then it is a great boon that we have come upon your crypt. Wait, that's the wrong accent. It's been a long time. Then it is a great boon that we have come upon your crypt. Uh, there is meddling from what we suspect to be is draconic or demonic influence. Um, oh,
I love this name.
Mm.
Don't have a lot of details. Thank you. Humble pulls out a notebook. be an understatement.
So the stream is going to be really bad, I believe. That's great. So, well, cool. 30 minutes of pretty much nothing. Love it. Oh, I hate this sometimes. Or maybe it just shut off. I can hope. It's probably the former and not the latter, knowing my luck. Real quick catch up point, since you've only just been hearing them talk, and I'll cut it off later on. But the person who came out of the coffin is her dad. Okay, and they're talking, and they've been talking for a bit. And my mouth's just been moving, probably.
Shout out to the lip readers.
Yeah, system issues on top of system issues. Anywho, back to it, the role-playing bit. So, they seek to do what they can to undermine my experiment here. One of them has power in what I recall is a city called Penford. Another fled to the west in hopes of finding the roots of the people that came to live here. And that is it. The only other one that I feel I can sense was one that was much more ancient than I, but with the abilities of the giants, and the powers of the merfolk, and sea elves, I was able to bind in a cell north of here, under the seas.
Sorry, what?
He said that the only one he can still sense is one that was ancient, that he bound inside of a cell north of here with the help of the merfolk, the giants, and the sea elves.
Okay.
In a cell north of here.
For some reason my brain was like, he locked up the sea elves.
No.
Well, I hope it's not that thing we released.
Oh.
Out of character, why did I think that Asmodeans were involved?
Because Asmodeans aren't in this campaign setting and you're silly?
Not Asmodeans.
Ashmodeans?
Ashmodeans.
Who says
Sorry.
Who says they're not?
Okay. But, like, that's been, like, a thing, right? That's been percolating. Like,
yeah.
a theme.
It's Johnny's fault.
Isn't that,
Yeah.
Cindric's mom?
Yeah, Cindric's mom.
He wishes his mom was Hespedia.
Cindric's mom has
Yeah,
got
it's just a small bit.
Oh,
not,
shit.
not too much.
Magpie.
Listen.
I kind of love that parody. Okay. Okay. So now, sorry, I have to like say it out loud for it to like
That's okay. I like it.
process. Okay. So now we're hearing that actually Sarah's lineage is this genetic grab bag blend orchestrated by an illithid, right?
By a person who's currently looking like her father, yes.
Right, but it's like kind of sounds like it smacks like an illithid, squats like an
Smells like
illithid,
Raz.
twerks like an illithid. Okay.
Eats brains like an illithid.
Right, exactly. And he's telling us that he suspects or knows or assumes or is telling us that no, actually it is this shadow war or that's like other illithid or illithid adjacent things that are not things, beings that are interfering with Ordris. But the only one that he can sense is the one that's in the ocean.
No, he said he knows that there are still 3 about.
Okay.
So the first 2, one went to Penford and
Okay.
has remained there for some time. One went to the west, which would denote Denisov and entanglements.
Right.
And then the bound one.
Okay.
So is the end goal for them to destroy my bloodline as well as you?
I do not think that they care much for me dying. Again, this obsession with mortality is something I understand you grappling with, but I think for the conversation it would best behoove you to understand that death and life aren't really concerns we have.
That begs the question for us then. What are their concerns? What are their goals? And how can we interrupt them?
The only part of her statement that she mentioned that was incorrect was her statement that they were keen on my demise. They are very much keen on the demise of the experiment.
Ah.
And I would argue that my experiment is successful. I have lived I have existed, sorry, out of character. He wouldn't be obsessed with life. My brain did it dumb. You forced it on me. I was thinking about I have existed for a number of generations. I have aided your peoples into creating a arguably great nation. Some hiccups here and there. But the folks that came here seeking solace from the war found it.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think Ryura's drinking the Kool-Aid. It's true. Your endeavors here have created a great nation and a proud people. We, under the leadership of Sarah, have been endeavoring to, without knowing, blindly in the dark, been endeavoring to resist the encroaches of the Shadow War. Now we are armed with greater knowledge.
It is not your place to fight this war. It is mine. However, I need tools. And he kind of looks to you all like this strange kind of like almost like menacing kind of look, which softens after a fashion, and he says, I do not take tools unwillingly. Have you found the eye?
Yeah.
Good. And one of you will take it upon yourselves to don it, I'm certain. Who?
I don't think anyone did.
Yeah, so he is asking. Obviously, one of you is going to take it up and wear it. He's
It was
asking.
my assumption that Sarah would don these family relics.
If Sarah were to place the eye upon herself, she would be overwhelmed with its power.
Ah.
She, like her father, is not ready. Her blood makes her more susceptible to its power.
So,
Is this
one
like
of us then?
mandatory thing, or
None of you appear to have any trace of being crafted, bred for purpose by me. Not that I can sense.
Thanks.
I don't know how to react to
Yeah, I don't
that.
know. Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
Sarah's like, that's a
He's
weird
like-
thing to say at the dining table, Grandpa.
The grandpa.
Exactly.
Sometimes he just gets like this. He starts talking about blood and like relatives,
No.
and, like bloodlines.
Whoa.
And how he made us all out of Play-Doh and
Been
go
down
along
with
with
for a
it.
long time, you know.
Did I make a
Back in
weird-
my day.
Did I make a weird NPC again?
Problematic.
You just made the
fantasy.
problematic at Thanksgiving
Yeah.
NPC. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Great
before
Uncle
Christmas.
Very
Illithus.
awkward.
Right.
awkward for the holidays.
Perfect.
You know,
Go ahead.
our purpose for this is
Hey.
to keep it out of the
Hey.
wrong hands.
Hey,
You're yelling at a cat.
Don't break
She's trying to talk.
I hope he's talking to the bunny when he's saying "Don't break that."
No, it's a cat. I know who it is. He's bad. At least I think I know who it is. Sorry, go ahead, Kimmy.
Oh, I forgot what I said. Oh, our purpose isn't to use it; it's to keep it out of the wrong hands. Someone tried to break in to the crypt down here.
You see him kind of shift his features to just kind of dumbfounded, and then there's this moment where everyone kind of just has this weird feeling across their heads. Queera, I'm going to start with you, and then we're going to circle around the room. What would your immediate thought, just snap thought, be in response to what Sarah just said out loud with her face?
We'll use it if we must.
Right. Cindrix, what would be your immediate response to what Sarah said, just in your brain? What would you be thinking regarding her saying we're not going to use it, we're just going to keep it safe? The eye of El Hazil. Alim Hazil.
He really wants to use it.
He really wants to use it.
Okay. Yeah.
And Tommel, immediate snap thought response.
Dad never lets us play with any of the cool toys.
And Scarin.
Well, under lock and key.
But there's no thought of wanting to use it or wanting to use it to help.
No.
Okay. So Scarin's the only one who's not so far.
Good cop scaring over
Or
here.
Gil.
Jesus Christ.
What about Gil?
He would just be like, okay, but what kind of power?
So the fun part about why I asked you to say it out loud is, Sarah, all of these thoughts just kind of slam into your head, and you hear them in the voice that you just heard them in, their voices. And you can see his look change from kind of dumbfounded looking around the room to kind of looking at you. You do not have what it takes to wield it yet, which is why one of your compatriots of your choice will be the one who does.
I kind of want a preference with. I don't like the fact that he's trying to force someone putting it on. It makes me wary that there's something
And if that's a
bad's
thought,
gonna happen.
if that's a thought that Sarah has, you
Mhm.
would kind of hear a response in your head from him, in a very soothing version of your father's voice. If I had aims to trick you, you would already be done and gone. I show you everything. And at that, you kind of have this flash of a memory that doesn't quite sink in yet. Basically, imagine thinking back to your childhood, and you kind of know the beats, right? You know a specific event that happened in your childhood, Kimmy the person. You can remember a thing, but you don't remember every detail right off the bat. It takes you some time to kind of ponder it and go, yeah, and kind of reflect on it. You feel like if you get that time to kind of reflect on the memory that was just shoved into your head, you'll be able to kind of understand it better. But the point beats of it are, he's had a similar conversation with your father, and he did similar to like prove his trust by shoving your grandfather's memories into his head, and basically it's this nesting doll of memories. And so every time you'll think about it, it may be that you're thinking deeper into the mirror of memories downwards of the person who came before, not trusting him, and him shoving these like pool of like memories into their head.
No
That's
wonder my
nothing.
family's so crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no wonder they're loony.
We finally catch on.
He's gonna.
Does it help if we told you if we were okay with wearing it?
Yeah.
I would proudly
Okay with wearing it.
wear it
Mm-hmm.
to serve
Mm,
Ordris.
I
I
mean,
don't
I'm
think
just
you have to
curious.
worry about
I
that
mean-
from us.
And so, Kimmy, I think the thing I wanted you to kind of focus on, just to make sure you understand kind of what I'm going for here, and you're probably already thinking a little bit about it, but I just want to make sure you understand. It is ultimately Sarah's choice, and that the way that they thought about it initially should be pretty clear guidance as to who you should think to, like, where this item goes. Does that make sense? Like, you already have an understanding of their thoughts regarding the artifact. You just have to decide which one gets to don it.
Queer.
Okay? It's a quick.
Wrong answer.
Wrong
Party
party
kill.
Turns into that giant
We
thing
all
from
die.
Thor that like levels New Mexico.
I mean, personally, outside of game, I totally want to give it to the bunny. You know,
Yeah.
kneecapping everybody. It's a laser beam.
Laser bunny.
You know, but like end game, like seeing, like I trust Queera, and I know, that she can handle it and everything. And after her statement,
Just wait till she has to roll a wisdom save.
oh shit.
So I'm turning into their warlock from the other game, the Friday game. They're just like, ha!
Okay.
But totally wanted to make sure it was someone's choice and that he wasn't just sitting here forcing stuff on people, because it was like,
No.
No.
My God.
Once you kind of made that decision aloud to everyone, he says, "Good. It will serve you in the efforts I will be making. And again, as my tool, I do need you to work once again. I cannot leave this place, as I have led on a couple of times. This body, this physical form, is not one that is... I will show you. And perhaps in seeing you will understand." He kind of places his hand up over his face. Wavy lines of just kind of distortion kind of warp around him, like you were looking into a mirage. And eventually, the form of your father fades away, and standing in his place, much taller than he was, is about a 9-foot tall, blue, like white, icy blue skinned creature. If you've ever like seen Slender Man, like that's kind of the proportions we're talking about here. He appears to be clothed in just dark, very kind of tight, form-fitting cloth. His hands are visible and his feet are visible. Both are kind of just aged, and there's an almost, for lack of a better word, crispness to what you can see of him. His head is, or his hand, sorry, on that note, he only possesses 3 fingers and a thumb instead of 4 digits and a thumb like you'd expect from most humanoids. And his head is that of what you would know as an illithid. However, there is an extra set of tentacles, and those tentacles are about 12 feet long, draped down onto the ground, kind of wrapped around, and just kind of loosely kind of near him. Queera Tommel, anybody trained with Arcana, you can go ahead and make an Arcana roll.
Is this lore?
It is lore related, yes.
I'm gonna spend a 2nd level spell slot to get the bonus.
Okay.
I rolled a 29.
Yeah, I can't beat that.
So, Jisho, Queera has read, and as you're kind of sitting here and everything's kind of sinking in, and the reason why you're kind of connecting well with the fact that this is what everything came from, like this being, is because you've read quite a bit about aberrations, namely illithids, mind flayers, those who come from the stars, the hidden ones. And you would know that they come in all different varieties. You weren't familiar with the Urufaion until recently, if I recall correctly. I think Tommel was the one who got that. But you're familiar with the illithid, you're familiar with the neothalid. You would know that illithid that dies and is able to keep themselves resuscitated through dark ritual, similar to a lich, is known as an alhun. But you'd also know that the 2 extra tentacles and the size of this creature don't mark him as an illithid who's become an alhun. Instead, they mark him as an ulatharid, which is basically like super illithid. So, like, where you have a human, and then there's like the paragons of humanity from like the ancient past, like the, the elves to like the Lachey. There's these kind of gradient steps of, the more divinely touched entities. An ulatharid stands in that way compared to an illithid.
Okay.
He would then say, looking to Sara, I cannot leave this place. However, we can. You have too much power inside of you for me to ride along in an easy way. It would be too tempting for me to control. And it's not what I want. You are more useful with your own agency. However, I will need to be able to be on the front lines in this conflict. When you are met by the tactics of my brethren, you may not see them for what they are, and you will need my aid. So I grant you another choice. The person who bears Elim Hazil will not be able to serve as my chariot. One of these individuals that rides with you must. They will do so willingly, and if not willingly, then not at all. To understand the metrics of what I am proposing, I will drop this physical demeanor. I will enter into a state of the dance, and I will enter into one of your bodies. I will be there with you. I can leave if you wish for me or for privacy. But I will remain with you, and I will be able to guide you and aid you in your endeavors. Who amongst you is willing to serve as my chariot? Everybody's hand goes up. It's fine.
After hearing that, I don't think Cindrix wants to do it anymore.
I
In
mean,
honesty.
This is a much bigger ask of us.
That's why I saved it for last. You would hear in your head.
I mean, like any
But-
experienced junkie, you know?
Tommel I am happy to do it for you.
Experience junkie.
However, I am not on the front lines typically, if that's a requirement.
Will you be bound in a crypt?
I can meet that.
If
Hop
you
on.
can- If you can do better than that, then you are on the front lines comparatively.
Plenty of space up her.
Out of character,
What a sassy Ulitharid.
the Ordric will basically wait until anybody else volunteers. So far we have one, but again, if Scarin, Gil, or Cindrix have reason to volunteer,
What's gonna
Tommel
happen?
knows it's a big ask, and that's why he's stepping up because most of the rest of you have like family and things.
Ain't
Well,
got
Keep making
family no
characters
more.
with no fucking.
what was your question, Kimmy?
I would have asked like what happens.
After.
Yeah, after when he hops on.
What happens after he hops on, or what happens when he's done?
Well, what happens
Both.
when he joins in with somebody? Like,
It is a form of possession. I will imbue the individual with my essence. As I commit to the dance, I will reside within. Our souls will commingle inside of the vessel that you are. I will share with you some of my capabilities, and you will share with me access to your effigy, your being. I will be able to take control at your okay, as long as you allow it. And you will be able to utilize, again, some of my capabilities.
Insight check.
Go ahead. It's almost as if he reads you trying to read him, and you can then see into his mind and see purpose. He wishes nothing more than to protect his experiment. He does not
Okay,
care.
I mean,
He does not care for your anybody here's piddly bodies, with the exception of Sarah's, and whoever finally is the one that Sarah chooses for him to ride in.
so
You are tools, is what you would see, Scarin.
So,
But you know, sometimes a man cares about his hammer.
Right.
I feel like just because the purpose is essentially to protect Sarah, once Gil gets his brain around to that, he would volunteer.
We've got Tommel, we've got Gil. Scarin, did I hear you volunteering, or were you opting out?
thank you.
Oh man, his internet's really buggy. I guess. But no, seriously, John, what? What did
He
you
said
say?
no in the chat.
No, he
No.
doesn't want any. Okay, and last but
I've said a couple times no, and
Last-
he's not.
Yeah.
last but certainly not least, Johnny, hearing the exchange as it was given, would Cindrix be willing to?
Oh, that's a hard no.
Okay. So,
He's-
Sarah, I do want to put this to you because these thoughts will kind of enter into your mind because there's kind of a state of Ordric kind of melding with you. There's a bit of like his thoughts are kind of passing over into yours, and likewise, it makes the whole decision-making situation here a little bit more honest. So when these two answer in the way that they do, that they're not willing to act as vessel for Ordric, and the way that Gil and the way that Tommel both answered, there should be a measure of distrust that is now imbued upon you, that is present inside of Ordric, pointed towards Scarin and Cindrix. And your understanding of the reason why that might be, it seems that in his statement that they would be sharing with him and how he's already sharing with you, they are barring themselves from that analysis. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That being said, you have two choices: Tommel or Gil. Who would you wish to be the bearer of your ancestor?
I can't do it right.
No.
You
No.
got this.
Because if I enter into you, I'm going to want to. I have the power of the blood. I'm going to want to just do the
yeah.
thing. But it would steal your agency. But the temptation to just do the thing would always be there. Because I know how to Storm Herald. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I made it up, right? Like, if I get you, I'm just going to be like, okay, well, this will suffice. This is a fix. But I don't want to steal the agency from the experiment. That's not the point of the experiment.
I could always
Almost
hand a
said-
mouse a piece of cheese, but then it
Right.
ruins
What's
the point
the
of the
point?
maze.
Tommel said that he would do it first.
Well, it's not so much about dibs or like calling dibs or what have you. Let's look at the reason why they both said what they said, and we can inquire on them too, because again, we can see right into their brains, right? So, right now we can. Tommel stated and asked a question regarding the process, correct, Zach? You kind of focused on the details of the matter. And then once that was revealed to you, once you understood the whole gravity of the situation, that's when you committed.
Mhm.
Similarly, when Gil heard the whole tense of the situation, also volunteered. Their reasons were different. Tommel's was to act as kind of liaison for this creature, for Ordric.
Yeah.
Gil's was so that the protection that would be imbued by Ordric would be present at someone who would be the closest to you physically in conflict.
No.
So-
I just don't like this decision
So
because
the metric,
Welcome to the Tuesday game.
the metric the metric is
Yes,
of,
bitch.
of course this Ordric is going to be your vizier through this process, right? They're going to try and kind of guide you through it. But who do you want them to kind of be closest to? Your smartest, most intellectual, kind of most cunning individual, or your most loyal, most,
Stalwart, your
puppy-like,
most
Yeah.
vigilant,
vigilant,
And courageous.
and courageous compatriot. That's
Yeah.
really what we're looking at.
maybe Gil won't die if we give it to him.
Yes.
Or maybe
or
he'll kill them both.
or you might lose the guidance a little earlier. that guidance might be
So
unconscious
instead
for a
taking
lot of
break and he
fights.
just sticks his finger in a light socket.
And let me like also there's like this sort of unspoken, unrealized romance, so there's that angle too.
Wait,
I
what?
don't know.
Oh, I mean,
Wait,
oh, are we not supposed to talk about
What's that?
wait, what? What?
Uh,
Wait,
No, like Gil totally is like hardcore puppy love on
I
Sarah.
did not know this. I obviously am very non-romance brained.
that? You're Johnny pilled.
I'm Johnny.
Yeah,
I
Johnny
don't even
Build,
know what
because I didn't know either.
succubus is.
We still
I
have
still
to
don't.
teach Johnny what a succubus is.
It's
Oh
okay.
my
It's
God.
still going to come up. Like it's gonna come up.
Oh, it's gonna come up all right.
Oh, session? This session? Wait.
Not this session. Well, maybe.
Oh.
We'll see. So
Which just randomly appears in Cyberpunk.
So another thing too is like you trust the people you work with, right? Like there's no lack of trust. You've been doing
Yeah.
great things for years and years and years.
there's no wrong answer,
There's no reason to
Or
not
is there?
or is there?
there's no reason
Is
to
there?
not
Dun, dun,
trust
dun.
this individual. Like every time you put forward a desire for more information, they have proffered it. So there's no reason why this person wouldn't be, capable. in either of their bodies if it comes down to a need.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Gil.
Okay.
Because my thought is maybe Gil will last longer.
With them.
Give him a little
Maybe I'll
power
give him
boost.
plot armor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And honestly, like, and the thought process of Tommel having him would be like, I really like the idea of it, but, and because, you know, brains and brains together, but then I'm thinking maybe the Lithid will protect
You want all of
Gil
your eggs in one basket, though?
It's a lot of
Also-
brains all together. It's too
Yeah.
much brains.
Also,
But-
like, if Kimmy wants it, is it a good idea? Or is it just for entertainment purposes?
Yeah. That's another good
True.
point.
True.
So if you're not 100% certain, you could definitely ask your allies here in this matter. But if you are certain you want it in Gil for that metric, to kind of balance him out, perhaps, then you can certainly ask about or just make your decision.
I think I would say it to the group. Does anybody care if we put it to Gil? Like, does that seem
When you
Okay
say
for
that out
everybody.
loud, there's this very strange change in the Ulathar in Ordric. It's almost as if like there's a twisting of the tentacles that's almost like kind of almost Cheshire, right? And his eyes
Oh my
kind
God.
of take on this kind of like gleam, and he says aloud, "It is like thousands of years ago, when your ancestors weren't certain, and they seek knowledge, power, confidence, and direction from others. This is the point of the experiment. Good. And so, yeah, if anybody who's not Sarah wants to weigh in on the choice here.
I trust your judgment, Sarah.
Sandra?
Gil's
Just do what you must, but probably ask them first before, fully committing. See if they want to do it.
Oh,
What were you saying, Scary?
I would say Gil's probably the best bet, since if they're carrying someone else with them, they might not be jumping into traps or pushing buttons at random.
Oh.
First time it's said in character. the Cheshire smile kind of snaps to a more serious kind of tentacle face, and Bordrick is like, wait, he does that?
Quite
Gil
often,
is just
actually.
like,
Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. You don't get to choose. You don't get to
No.
choose. I'm going with the rabbit. JK.
Uppy sounds way more fun than that.
Oh,
Oh, it reminds me of when I was a little tadpole who carried wherever I need to go. JK, that didn't happen. He
How,
obviously
like,
didn't.
how
I was
is,
gonna
like,
say if it did,
That's funny as
if
hell.
it did, I
how
would
are
look at him like,
aberrations
take that
becoming
gif I
so
just posted.
relatable?
oh my goodness.
What's that? Sorry, Shisha?
How are aberrations, like, so relatable right now?
Great
I
question.
feel like
It's
a
like,
tentacle
aw,
monster half the
So
time.
cute.
Yeah, just imagining it's like, hold on. Illithid. Except that. No, why? Okay, gifts are bad. I can't use a gift. It straight went to like romancing the emperor, and I'm like,
oh my god.
Yep.
fucking gifts, man. Absolutely ruined.
Tommel, are you okay with him riding with Gil?
Of course, if that's what you think is best.
I don't want this to be like the scroll. Listen.
I thought we put that behind us.
Did
We did. You're looking for plenty
Yeah.
more. Remember? Cindrix will take care of that.
Gotta sigh.
Gil, you sure about your choice?
Yep.
is this permanent? Like, will you jump out up into someone else later?
Once the
Oh.
war has been dealt with, for the time being, I will leave you and return to my crib. I do not wish to interject as I don't wish to interject often, but when it comes to my kin, I find it mandatory that I do. This is not the first time I've been raised from this place to assist, to course correct, if you will.
Okay.
All right, so like, how do we like?
As you're like talking and like trying to like suss out how it's gonna work, that Alhoon body just drops to the ground, like a doll with its strings just being, or like a marionette puppet strings cut, just drops like a squid being put onto a plate. A dead squid just yeah. And Gil, you start hearing everybody's thoughts.
Whoa.
For a second there.
Well,
And for the purposes of mechanics, you do not have detect thoughts going on all the time. That's just kind of more of a narrative kind of beat for the time being. However, the warlock ability of the Great Old One Patron, Awakened Mind, will be added to your sheet in just a moment. And that allows you to speak to anybody mentally and have them return the call.
yo, what?
Pretty cool.
Just to have Gil up in your brain.
I take it back. I didn't want
boy.
this.
You don't know what it's like in here.
It's a chaotic mess.
Most people's brains are like a library. It's just an empty field.
It's like Mirrodin. You can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share a language with the creature for it to understand your telepathic utterances, but the creature must be able to understand at least one language to be communicated with. And that is the only current active ability that you are aware of that the ancestor grants you. Okay.
If we feed Gil brains, does he get more powers?
The fruit.
If you shove more. If we go back to the pool and just start shoving illicit worms in his eyes. No.
Oh my god.
So herein lies the problem that I have with running anything that has illithids post Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
It's just gonna feel like a ripoff, right? But like, this place was already illithid coded well before like the full release of the damn game. I mean, there were some initial like early kind of inspirations from like the pre-release kind of material, but yeah, it wasn't like a direct ripoff of Baldur's Gate.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't played all the way through, so to me, I don't know. This seems very different from anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Baldur Gate coded because it's illithids, but
Right.
still, it's very like, I really like the
Gil's not an illithid. Gil has a ghost of an
fantasy
illithid
Yahtzee thing
in
going
him.
on.
Yeah, this is more in line with what goes on my Sunday games than it is that. Like, there's a ghost in you now.
What? So we beat.
Do you feel any different?
Okay.
Ooh.
Do you feel any different?
Can I taste raspberries right now?
No. However, the corpse that hit the ground definitely has a scent of raspberries. And
Why?
Never gonna be able to
there's a strange
raspberries
feeling
ever again.
in your mind, Gil. It's a compulsion, but you definitely feel like you could say no to it. It's just like
Okay.
it's almost like this weird suggestion, like that to
So
go
it's
over,
just
pick up.
intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. That's a good way of thinking about it. Right, exactly. When he's kind of like interjecting something, it's like this intrusive thought that comes off as a would you
Simple.
kindly kind of situation.
Okay.
Although not a direct would you kindly situation for people who know what a would you kindly
Yeah, the wish.
situation is. So you walk over So Bioshock, the guy was basically programmed. Anytime someone would say "Would you kindly," whatever they said after that would basically be a command, not a request.
Okay.
Mhm.
So anyway, you go over, you scoop up the body, and put it back into the sarcophagus and close it.
Okay. Yeah. He's like,
There's-
I'm fine. Just like picks up the body. It's kind of weird, but flops it back in.
Smells
But
great, has a good feel to it. It's like, not quite fleshy, not quite rubbery, somewhere in between the two.
no.
Very dry though. It's like those the stress balls. Like, have you ever had one just linger too long and it starts to like crack, kind of become like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that. You just toss them
Mm.
in.
I mean, not toss, but like just kind of
Are you gonna tuck him in?
flop. No. He plops them in there, I guess.
Fair enough. He is plopped, fully and wholly.
Put the lid back on.
Perfect.
There's another one of these with latches. Is there a...
Can we not maybe wake any more of the? I don't. I'm assuming
Yeah.
he's
You're-
the only one, but like,
Your thought on that is pretty much exact, and there's also kind of like a confirmation of that. Just honored dead. Their wishes were kept with the bindings. Others, the items that they have kept with them, have been required by others, namely the last Storm Herald.
okay.
Put the lid on, latch it down.
Okay. What next?
Asking the right questions.
Sorry, I had to
Mm.
roast One Piece in the One Piece thread real quick. John apparently is almost caught up with me and is in the same arc with me.
Mhm.
And then Elizabeth made the funny joke, will John surpass Sean or will John win out in the end? And I said, if this were a One Piece arc, it'd take 240 episodes to find out, and a bunch of weirdo characters would show the fuck up.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
I'm okay with being referred to as a weirdo character.
Be chill.
Anywho, so the mind is not telling you anything. However, it definitely feels like there's someone on the other line, if you get what I mean.
Mm.
Like, if you had a thought and you were, like, trying to focus it to them, like, to inquire or, like, get a response, they'd be receptive.
So do they also hear like what everybody else says in the vicinity?
You bet your ass.
Using my earballs, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I feel like Gil would like be looking at these other sarcophagi or whatever,
Okay.
and just like wondering who they are, and is it kind of like a connection where like that information would be floating, or is that like
So, strangely, like, as you pass by each, you would recognize each in turn. Like, it seems like you know who they are. The one that's broken and empty that was to the left was the actual true first Storm Herald, whose name does not like ring, or it's not. I'm not. I know I said it. I just don't have my notes out, or where they would be. But she was the first Storm Herald, like the kind of progenitor of the Ordric line as it's understood by the common populace. That's the one that's broken open and the body's gone. The one to the right of that would be the second Storm Herald, her son, and not her first child, just the one that lived and became the Storm Herald. As you are aware, she had several children besides, and a lot of those children went on to make the other lines that the other catacombs lead into, the other segments of the Ordric kind of wider family. And that was the division, the split. The other ones that you can see here are kind of just sequentially. It's basically evens on the left, odds on the right. And then the very, very first, the 0 case one, would obviously be the one in the middle.
Okay, so like this one over here would be the most recent Storm Herald.
Well, it would be the one that would be closest to modernity, yes, but again, the last one that was buried down here wouldn't be in this room. It would be in the rooms that you came in through. Because remember, all of those were Storm Heralds as well.
Oh.
So this is like thousands of years ago.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so like this is like the first 6.
So the War of Sword and Serpent took place during the Second Era. The Third Era was about 600 to 700 years long. The time that the Dragon War the War of Sword and Serpent started in the Second Era was towards the beginning, and it was a couple of millennia long itself. The Age of Heroes was the Fourth Era, and it lasted 1,000+ years. And you're currently in year 1056 of the Common Age, so the Common Era. So you're, again, several thousand, a couple thousand, 4, 5, 5, 6,000 years away from the first Storm Herald. But yeah, there's a shit ton more of them outside. It seems like, to Gil, the reason why the first one was broken open and etc., the Storm Herald, that was the last Storm Herald, wanted the body for some reason. But that information isn't passing the barrier between the minds. Like, you kind of pick up that there was, you know who the culprit was, and you know that there was a motive, you just don't know what the motive was.
Do I have to attune to this eye thing?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And let me get that. Hold on. Bear with me here. Oh, please tell me I actually wrote it up. I've been so busy with other. Oh my god. I can't believe this. I'm gonna be the worst, aren't I? Yep, I am the worst. I did not write it up. I am a failure. Hold on. So, basically, the long and short of it is it lets you cast certain spells and it has a number of charges. So the spells that...
How specific?
So, there are 3 spells you can cast while you are wearing the eye that you can cast at will. And those are... fucking shit. Okay, folks at home, you get to watch a person make an artifact in real time. This is gonna be great. This will be fun.
I like it.
We're having a good time here.
Always.
Shit.
My hotspot's blinking out.
Oh, look at that. John's hotspot's blinking out. Oh, dang. Gonna have to make the artifact next time.
I got some magic. Oh, man. Okay, so Eldritch Blast. Firebolt. And Chill Touch. These are 3 spells that you can cast as long as you're wearing the eye. You cast them without components.
Well, they're cantrips.
Yeah, they still have verbal, somatic, and material components.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You cast them without any of that. It just shoots out of the eye.
Cool.
Then it has a total of 20 charges, which refresh at a rate of 1 per hour as long as the eye is in direct sunlight.
Oh.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
pretty great. And there are a total of 10 spells that it does. For 1 charge, Daylight. And I want to say Analyze, which is from my books,
Okay.
which you'll probably have access to somewhere. And I said Daylight, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. For 3 charges, I believe for 3 charges it is. Checking my notes. Bear with me here. It is. Thank you for being patient with me, by the way. Oh man, Lightning Bolt. And where is that other line spell? Where's the other line spell? Oh no, it wasn't a line spell. Spirit Guardians. And for 5 charges, it is Sunbeam, I believe. Yeah. For 5 charges, it's Sunbeam and Eye Bite. And then for 10 charges, and this would be the only remaining one here, it's a single cast, and it's a, I want to say, it is an 8th level spell. Filter results, find the in spell, you dork. Tunnel Vision, which is another my spell. And it changes the range of tunnel vision from touch to self. And tunnel vision will alter your vision so that you can see everything, including through walls. The spell functions identically to true seeing, except that you can also see through any barriers within the sight's range.
Okay.
And the other aspect of the artifact is you have dark vision 300 feet while it is worn, and you're attuned to it. And you have advantage on all perception checks, and a +5 to your passive perception.
God damn. Okay.
There's one more thing about it with its artifact nature, but it is something you'll need to kind of lean or learn into. It's not. First off, I don't have it mechanically written. It won't come up this session. And last but not least, it's something that kind of happens once it happens, and
Cool.
it happens. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, one last bit. If you use the last charge of it, it cannot regain charges until the next dawn. So normally it regains 1 charge per hour in direct sunlight. If you use the last charge, it will not be able to regain charges until the next morning.
Do the cantrips use up charges?
No.
Okay.
Those are at will, and then everything else is charge based.
Got it.
Cool. As long as my mic was working while I was talking about that, I have it notated. Okay. And then again, the dancing illithid inside of Gil's brain has not revealed all of the powers that are kind of bestowed upon Gil at this point. So, is there anything else during the day, or is there anything else inside of the crypt, first off, that you want to explore or engage in?
I know.
No, I
So-
think we went through everything, right?
Sheepishly, we would ask like, what would happen if we drank that goo?
If Gil is going to put the
The
question
goo.
towards the individual, you would probably get sick. It would be good for you.
Okay.
It's not magic goo.
It has latent essence therein. It is certainly magical, but I wouldn't advise consuming it.
Okay. Thanks, Grandpa.
No problem.
Like, are we talking about like I'll throw up?
Yeah,
Feels like I'll throw up right now.
I can throw up on command. You don't know who you got into here, my guy.
Exactly.
I can show you some
Like, okay.
things.
Well,
Goes like,
Queer
don't
will-
eat the goo.
Oh
It's
no.
like- Oh,
Don't.
Wait, no,
hold on.
don't eat it. I'm gonna do artificer stuff with it later.
Okay.
It's like this.
Will it explode?
This is literally what's happening, but in reverse. The illithid's the cat, and Gil's body, being a part of it, is the flower. That's where we're at now.
Yeah. It's great.
He's probably looking at Tommel longingly, like, what could have been?
The prophecy.
Oh my god.
Anybody else have stuff they want to do down here?
No.
Okay. That being the case, you head back up during the day, the remainder of the day, which again, you've been down here for a while. But during the remainder of the day, nobody really engages with you. Nobody's coming to meet with you. Nobody's seeking you out. If you wish to seek anybody else out, you may. Otherwise, we'll just kind of, meander. If you have any questions you want to ask before we kind of fast track to the next day, you can. Or if there's anything that you wish to do before the next day, you can. Keeping in mind the next day is party time. And by party time, I mean throwing a corpse off a cliff time. Which has
How else are you supposed to throw a party?
Which we have discussed as being kind of it's just a rudimentary description of what happens, just chucking them out of a window onto onto the cliff. Which
I
again,
believe the traditional term is yeeting.
yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeet.
royal
Eating of the Royals.
because again, it only happens with Ordric family members. Like nobody else really gets chucked off a cliff, right?
Gil has a question.
Sure,
Where did this start?
the chucking off of a cliff.
Yeah, no, he's like totally asking the order. I'm like,
Sure.
why did they throw your kids out the window?
Because they ran out of room in the crypt.
The crypts did fill up quite nicely, so the religious practitioners of Ordris and the historians of the Ordric family decided that committing them to the sky would be a better method of paying last rites to a storm herald. It was believed, although I don't think I can recall any memories of it actually happening, but it was believed that if a storm herald fell to the earth, then they truly were done, and there was nothing more that they could do for the city of Ordris. But if they were prepared to continue on, they would not allow their bodies to fall, and they would fly back up to the mount and continue on being a storm herald.
So like,
I got better.
the Ray, he's like, so they were like, but if they're only joking, they'll float.
Storm Heralds have the capability to fly. I'm sure that your friend, based on what I've seen of some of your memories, has also shown you that she is capable of flying, in a sense.
Totally shaking my head no.
Yeah.
I don't want Gil to try to push me off this boat one day. The
No,
ship.
he would never.
The boat flies because
The
of
boat
Sara.
flies. Yeah.
So in a sense, Sara is flying.
Yeah.
Sara becomes...
Okay, now Gil's
Technically,
head
yeah.
is just like going down a rabbit hole of just like,
Stop
okay,
it.
but gravity, and then
You hear a voice from behind you, kind of just like inside of your mind. Stop thinking about her like that.
like you just see Gil go, what?
Blush.
What? He just like starts scratching the back of his head.
I
Like,
don't know what you're
looking,
talking
like,
about.
What do you?
Don't throw her off of a boat, is what I'm saying.
I'm not. Why would I?
Yeah.
Or it could go the other way. Like, you know, if you want to play that way too, that's fine.
He would never.
All right.
He's talking like he's thinking about these old dumb guys that are like, oh, but if they're gonna come back to life, they'll fly. And he's like,
Wouldn't that be crazy if it happened tomorrow? Oh, they're stupid.
And be like, oh.
What's up, it's your daddy? I'm back. What? You were embalmed. we saw that you were embalmed.
I'll be bummed if it doesn't happen now.
Embalmed, more like the bomb. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus. Excuse me.
Because he's a dad. He's trying to be hip. He's trying to be cool.
Wait, so is Gil gonna have to live with like eternal dad jokes in his head?
Oh no! I'm talking about the real dead body. I'm not talking about the.
That's what I thought, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, the Ulatharid. The Ulatharid is very much not that. Yeah, it's, yeah, not the same.
Okay.
Oh, that should be 8th level. Why does it say 6th level?
Oh, because I'm dumb.
It's okay. Not that it's a big deal, but yeah, it'll cost you 10 charges for that one. For those watching at home, Tunnel Vision is a spell from the very cool, very awesome, not plugging it hard enough, Gathering Magic Mystical Archives, and True Sight allows you to see through walls. Also, you can spend 1 minute looking at a creature and kind of discern traits about them. It lasts for... Is there a duration on it?
1 hour.
Okay.
Okay, what would happen if she stared at Gil?
She would be able to determine your strength, dex, con, armor class, current hit points, or total class levels.
Speaking of hit points, the shenanigans.
It's still there.
Okay.
Probably judgmental kind of scolding going on in your mind. Why would you allow yourself to be hit by that? JK, that's not happening. Is there anything else that anybody wants to do through the day, or do we want to fast track it to the...
I think we're fast tracking it unless someone else says something else.
Doesn't Scarin have school today?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. That's fine. Scarin goes to school.
Go to school at some point.
Wakey! It's time for school.
Eggs and bacon.
It's time for school. Okay. So, when it comes to the morning, you do your best to dress in the best attire you can muster. Sara, you have a closet for this. You already know what is expected of you. You are to wear, very nice and ornate looking robes, but you also have an understanding that it might not be a bad idea to wear the kind of ceremonial armor of the Storm Herald in this circumstance. Tommel,
Is mage armor visible?
it can be invisible.
I'm Tommel mage armor's up.
Okay. But normal, kind of league garb.
Oh yeah, he's still wizard. Still wizard robe. Still wizard hat. Still wizard man. Wizard bun. Sorry.
Kira, is there anything in particular you wish to wear to the funeral, or do you even wish to attend? Again, it's not mandatory for anybody besides Sarah.
Queera is definitely attending the funeral. And she's wearing her armor, but it's like edited to look dark and formal.
The eye, is it worn or not?
I think I would defer to Tsara. Do you think it would be too disruptive to wear it? If not, I'll carry it on my person.
Feel like you probably shouldn't wear it.
Okay, I'll keep it on my person.
And Scarin, is there anything in particular about your garb that you want to point out?
It's the traditional garb of the Airy.
Okay. And Gil?
He would be wearing more formal. Probably local formal, not CL formal. Mostly because, I mean, it's probably not appropriate to wear, like, swimsuits and stuff to a funeral, but, like...
Just a bikini. Skill standing there, nothing but a banana hammock. Like,
and like a big old necklace or
nothing
something.
left to the imagination.
It's what sea elves wear to funerals.
Oh,
Right.
Well,
He's got like
I
a
feel
sword
like-
sheath around his back and a fucking banana hammock and nothing
Yeah.
else.
So you're saying
Yeah.
two sword sheaths.
So yes.
But
well, I mean, if you did wear more like traditional, like all jokes aside, like traditional sea elf, I feel like. So do they live like legit in the water, or is this like some sort of Atlantis thing where it's like a bubble?
so legit in the water. You're not a gun.
Okay.
You're not Jar
So
Jar
then it would.
Binks.
Okay.
Misa gonna go and check the trap
Oh
now.
no!
No, he's not Jar Jar Binks. Stop it.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah,
Um.
it's definitely real deal. There are probably locations in your city that will be, as you say, bubbles,
bubble.
but that's more for meeting and treating with surface
Yeah.
dwellers than it is for where you live.
So I feel like there's probably some form of like adapted formal wear then.
Okay.
Where I mean it still very much leans towards like his culture, but is more concealing.
Got it.
Than what you would wear swimming around in the ocean.
Yeah, obviously, like the formal wear that I imagine for sea elves is very flowing garments
Yes.
that require a bit more strain to kind of maneuver in, but
Mhm.
definitely create more of like a kind of
Appearance.
appearance.
Yeah, like the flowy.
right.
So okay, yeah, I have it pictured in my head. I don't know if you want me to describe it, but
I think we got a pretty good description so far. But if there's anything
Yeah.
else you want to add, yeah.
no,
Okay.
probably just like blue, white, and gold colors.
And Cintrix?
Or
He
so-
is probably not formally like acquainted with the attire during the funeral. He's probably gonna ask, Puree for advice on what to wear. If not, then he's gonna
So
wear
the
what
day-
he usually wears
The day before.
Mhm.
Okay.
because
The league uniform, like the standard league uniform, is probably fine.
Okay.
And I assume that would be Queer's suggestion too.
Yeah, there's a black cloak you can wear here in this wardrobe. Your uniform would be fine otherwise.
So the
appreciate it.
space that you're entering into, you would know Sarah, and you've been to it before, but none of you others have. This space is known as the Giving Gift. It is a segment of the fortress that is sea-facing. It is high up above most other things. The only place that gets higher than this is the tower beacon, which we've seen, which also acts as kind of like a connect for sky ships that come in. And you would know that right out those northern doors, which we're going to go ahead and snap over to for a second here, there's just a balcony with no railing right off into the abyss. Goes right down into the mountain, maybe 100 feet or so beyond that, and kind of the crags and kind of, sharp spikes of the cliff towards the sea. The water that is present here that comes up out of the fountains is very much a thing of pride amongst the people of Ordris. This is where all of the water for the old town of Ordris stems from. And it's quite an ingenious matter. Throughout the catacombs beneath the fortress, there are a number of pipes that pool upwards on seawater, and through the process, there's means of it kind of filtering and being filtered through different aspects and parts of the keep's like understructure, and this creates a fresh water on the top, but drawn out from the sea. And this space here, the water that continues beneath, the water that goes down underneath the center point, descends into a reservoir that goes to the various pipes that move into the old town and give people their running water. So, it is understood that this gift of life, brought here by the ancients of Ordris, which you now know is presumed to be a conglomerate of efforts, giants in their stoneworking, dwarves in their stone cunning and understanding, the elves, with their grace and, aesthetic, the sea elves and merfolk with their understanding of how water moves, how to desalinate it. It's an effort that, standing in this space now, Sarah, there's more to it that seems to make sense. And for the others, no one outside of the family of Ordris or their honored guests are ever allowed to enter into this space. The most noble of Ordris are present. Everyone you have met in council, their attendants, the courtesans, etc., are present here. However, none of them are allowed on the ground floor. Instead, as they enter, they take spaces along the railing on the outside of the space, moving to look down upon the gift of life. At the center, above that swirl of waters, is a platform, an island, if you will, with a number of bridges kind of going to it. And in the center of that space sits a wooden coffin. Some small bronze and brass kind of adornments on it, but very simple, very stylistically plain. And you would see that the marking of House Ordric has been burned into the surface, the top, about in line where the symbol on the sarcophagi below would mark it. This one, of course, less tentacles. You enter, and you would know that you and your honored guests, and anyone that you so choose, is allowed to enter into the space. And the council members, specifically the Master of the League of Restoration, whose name is right on the tip of my brain, Amran. He would come up to you, Sarah, and again, relations-wise, you're kind of in a state of, you don't really trust this guy. but he kind of moves to you as if it weren't a matter. So obviously the trust issue is one-sided. But he would say, "My lady Sarah, I am so sorry for your loss, and I am so glad that you are here to engage in this process yourself rather than having others attend to the matter. It was very difficult to deal with the nameless child that was left to us, but we managed just fine." You, of course, are ready to act as pallbearer for your father?
Of course.
Do you have any words you wish to speak? I will engage the attendants here to be sure to silence themselves when you are ready to speak if you have words. If not, it will not be the first time a member of House Ordric was committed to the sky without words being spent or breath being wasted upon them.
That's not necessary. There's nothing I need to say.
Very good. Well then, at your own pace and pleasure, feel free to commit Taran Ordric to the sky. It has already been notated in detail in the League's archives.
John, is this something I do by myself? I just pick him up and
Oh
throw
no
him
no
over?
no 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 no! You can have people assist you. Again, it's a
And
coffin.
I imagine we would have talked about this beforehand. Whoever you want to go with you to help you throw it.
Obviously, Gil's going to be there. You probably need
Yeah.
like two more. So whoever you think would be your two next people to kind of like help you carry, or it's just gonna be all six. of you.
Tommel with his natural born strength and size.
Right, like we're
Oh, yeah,
lifting it
that's
up,
fine.
and
Yeah.
he's just like
Perfect.
running underneath with his hands.
It's
in
just
the
like
air.
a one
Yeah,
mage
it's
hand
like a
finger, like
baby.
holding up one corner of it. Just
A
like
mage
walking
hand finger
underneath with like a
totally
mage hand.
counts.
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
counts.
You can hold up a quarter of a coffin with a mage hand.
I believe I would have asked if everybody would help me carry it to toss over
No
the
question,
mountain.
Mama. You
Yeah,
know the
all six of
answer.
us will walk with
Yep.
you, or all
Yeah.
five of us rather.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So everyone in kind of moves across the bridges into the center space and takes the handles alongside the side of the coffin there. Picking it up and following Sarah's lead, you move with the coffin towards the steps on the northern side. The artifice, or rather the statuary present here, for you, Queera, is a novelty. It's absolutely a sight to behold. Because what you see is not really depicted anywhere else in history, or in the keep, for that matter. The story that you see in these statues is something you've been given kind of secondhand information regarding. The stuff I said about the fount of water being the place where water is kind of brought to the old town is something that's known amongst historians. It's something that's understood. The nature of how it was crafted is just said to be the old ones. So you didn't know until you've put it together through action that giants were involved, that dwarves and elves may have been involved, and the like. But these three statues for you are of note because the one at the farthest side, the one that stands above the many basins of the first fountain, the primary fountain, is very clearly a depiction of the first Storm Herald, whose name again escapes me right now. But the first Storm Herald, her name being
Sheila.
let's call her Sheila for now, I guess. So no, we're not sticking with that. That's a terrible
No,
name.
it is.
But speaking of Sheilas, she does appear to have a Sheila in her hand in the statuary. She is holding a snake. And again, this is a dumb
Yeah.
joke, the Sheila bit. It's a yeah, crocodile hunter bit. Rest in power. But he is holding or she is holding a serpent, and she appears to be either feeding the serpent the water in the bowl she holds in her hand, or she appears to be maybe drowning it, or go ahead and make a history check, Queera.
Is she milking the venom?
Well, since you already said it, I don't need to have you make the check, since someone has already caught wise of it. It may be the case that she is milking the venom into the bowl.
Yeah.
The other two statues do not appear to be depictions of her or any person in history that you are familiar with. Strangely, they look like her, but they do not look exactly like her. One seems to wear a crown of a foreign nation. It is not an Ordric crown. And in her hand she holds what appears to be a mirror. The other statue appears to hold a cup similar to the primary statues. And she, too, wears something about her head, though it does not look like an Ordric crown either. It looks more like a Parnan crown, a Parnan princess's crown. So a princess in Parnak would be the daughter of a king, and in Parnak they have kind of a hierarchical, not quite feudalist anymore, but it was, and probably when these things were built. But a princess would basically be in line to be married off to someone of power beneath the king, or someone who is also a king. The last statue, which you kind of noticed, but again didn't really focus on. But now that you're kind of focusing on everything, kind of putting stuff together, I do want to make sure it's brought to the fore. The fountain at the entrance, on first glance, kind of looks like a lion, maybe, which again for you is not something that's like Ordric or Ordris. Like they're very bird centric, right? They're not very cat centric. And so for you, that's kind of a bit of a matter of weirdness. And I am going into my notes and I'm going to find out exactly what it is. Bear with me here. I know, but I don't know 100, so I just want to be sure, right? So, go in here, hit that, open that, pop that bad boy open, slap it down here. So, in actuality, the creature that you're looking at seems to be a more realistic depiction of a snake's head. But it definitely has traits in common with the cat when you look at it kind of dead on. And it almost looks like whoever crafted it did this intentionally. You can see in the mouth it has serpent-like mouth, but it definitely looks like it has cat-like features. The more you look at it, the more you look at it, the more you realize that the mane is more feathers than fur, and the head is more serpentine than cat. It's like a mix between the two. And you're pretty sure you've seen this in history, like very ancient, old, like from the peoples from the east that formed Ordric, who again, another note that is escaping me. But you're pretty sure that if you take some time researching in a library, you'd probably be able to find out what that creature is and why it's so familiar. So,
Okay.
you take the coffin outside. The wind kind of catches everyone but Scarin off guard. Just kind of brushes through, kind of bitingly so, through your clothing. And you step towards the edge. You know the last prayer. Sindrix, you've memorized it, having been prepared to kind of serve in some way as kind of the religious person present.
Mhm.
A simple prayer. A simple prayer in, you know, common, which you kind of speak to the air. No one really hears it due to the winds, but they see that you're saying it. And then the process of pushing it forward and allowing the last person to release happens. Coffin flies end over end into the air before you and below you, and a thud, kind of a cracking thud, is heard from the distance, some hundreds of feet below.
Caleb presses his lips together so he doesn't say anything.
What's that?
He presses his lips together so he doesn't say anything.
Gotcha.
Quira will squeeze Sarah's shoulder.
Sarah would probably have. She would have been crying a little bit.
Mhm.
But she's ready to go back in. It's done.
Stepping back inside, there's definitely an air amidst the people who've gathered, the courtesans, the politicians, the attendants therein. They're quiet, somber. A lot of them are kind of holding their hands together over their chest, kind of, you know, looking down upon Sarah and her retinue. And empathy is kind of present there. The wind seems to follow you in, catches some of the leaves of the perfectly manicured late autumn bushes present around you. And it just seems like the center point is much more empty without the coffin present. And there's just this kind of dourness to the space on the ground level that wasn't really there before. Like, almost as if the coffin itself brought sense of life or purpose to the space. Looking up at the audience above, you see faces you recognize. Every member of the council is present. You would see that Delmira is present. And you'd also see someone you don't recognize, but one of you recognizes. This strange unknown woman that was seen at the establishment. She's not holding a big ass sword, but she is present in very similar garb to what she's wearing in this picture.
Know who this is?
This is the Denisotvan, the commander of the Denisotvan ship, the one that's dealing in trade with the establishment's traffickers.
Yeah, and does that stand out to us, like, in terms of her garb, as something like really inappropriate for a funeral?
She's wearing very, I would say it's foreign garb. It's definitely not in keeping with what you would presume is kind of customary. But I suppose this would be similar to kind of give you an example. This would be like someone showing up in like full like kimono to a Western funeral with suit and tie, right?
Yeah, but kimono, like a white kimono?
So again,
Like funerary kimono, or like
you
a
don't
going out
you wouldn't
kimono?
know what I mean to say
Okay,
is
I
imagine
wouldn't
you
know. We
didn't
wouldn't
know the difference between
Got it.
that. Like you don't understand the Denisotvan
Imagine
stuff.
you're uncultured. Okay, I'll try really hard to imagine that.
It's going to take a lot of imagination from you, Jijo. But to say that, for Denisotvans, you would be. Because, again, a lot of people don't make their way west. It's not
Got it.
something
Yeah.
that you'd want to do. It's a hellscape that way. But she does appear to be dressed as she is. And for Scarin, it would be as he saw her before. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there was an effort put in for you, Scarin. Or she just always is traveling around in funerary garb.
I mean, I'd mention that. I'd be like, "Yep, the same lady wearing the same thing."
Who is
Just
she?
they would in a back alley, whatever.
Who is she standing next to?
So she is currently standing next to the man that you saw, whose name escaped you, who was also at the establishment, and Marla, Sifna, the master of the watch.
Sick and
Wasn't
tired of her
his
bullshit.
name Jeremiah
Oh.
Bartlett?
Correct. Good. So I'll put that on there since you have it notated. And gain inspiration for good notes.
Oh, I have it already. Does anybody need inspiration? No, no. Okay.
I have it.
I
Does
got
everybody have it?
I don't have inspiration.
Well,
All
now
right.
you do.
Now you know. So you said she was
Like, is
standing. Mhm.
To
She's
Jeremiah and Marla, Sifna, the master of the watch.
We're gonna make a scene.
Mm,
Is she talking to
mm.
them or just standing?
So no one's really talking right now as you're on the ground floor. They're more or less just watching below. I would say that as you're looking up, it looks like most people are kind of showing some sort of empathy for the scene that's being displayed here. You just threw your dad off a cliff. However, the unknown woman, the Denisotvan woman, there's no emotion on her face. In fact, the only thing that you think you might be registering is like anger or like a readiness to murder everything around her. Like, and you're not sure if that's just like her face, you know what I mean? Like if she was just, that is her face, or if she genuinely has like malicious feelings at the moment.
Hmm. I want to speak to Delamere. I want to like call her over and ask if she knows that woman.
Okay, so you head up the steps on the. So when you come up, or when you go down the steps to kind of return to the ground level, and kind of march to the opposite side, which is customary, expected. You make it to the opposite side. The first person to kind of engage you before you kind of get to where you want to go is Reuben, the war mage here, and he says to you as he kind of steps up to you, "Greetings. I was only able to catch a little bit at the end there. Um, I, as I said, I was going to be leaving, but I didn't, and I wanted to be sure I was here for you in this moment of need for you. But I must be going. I do want to make sure you are well warned. It does look like there is a wolf amongst your number."
Someone familiar to you?
My very own adversary. She is the master of the Denisotvan fleets of sky and sea. It is very strange to see her here with your council members. Strange, but not unexpected. My offer for you still stands. And he hands you a green stone. If you speak my name into this stone, I will be able to speak to you directly. If you need me for anything and I am available, I'll come at your beck and call.
Thank you, Reuben.
I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope you're able to lead, or at least act as a guide for those who will. I must go. He turns and kind of heads out the way he came, but before he does, he kind of stops, kind of near to the strange-looking fountain, and kind of looks at it curiously. And Queera, you recognize the kind of facial features and eyes, like you were just making the same kind of looks at the fountain a minute ago, and then he kind of wanders off. Then you head to Delamira. Lady Ordric, she says, kind of with a bow. You have
I
muted
would,
me?
um, yes, do you know who that woman is that's standing between Marla and Jeremiah?
She's not been introduced to me, no. I do know she is a Denisotvan, and she came um, very early this morning in a very massive skyship. It rests on the opposite side of the keep.
Out of character, is this just a thing we just know people are doing something and letting them in and causing trouble?
So we apparently it's more in the open now, at least from this display, than you thought it might have been. It definitely was more quiet before, um, but for whatever reason, she has been allowed access, and she is an honored guest of the council, at least Marla. And then knowing whether somebody's Denisotvan or not is pretty easy. They have longer arms than everybody else.
Okay.
Like, so your arms, when you kind of set them to rest, kind of drop right below the pelvic bone, right? A Denisotvan's kind
Dingo
of
bullshit.
gets closer to the knees.
I mean,
And
that's not fair.
it's kind of hard to see it in the picture of her if you look at it again, but if you look close, you can kind of see, like, she's kind of got her hand, like, reaching forward for the left side, and then her right arm is kind of weirdly long. But yeah.
I think more importantly I would have described them back with the cat scene
Yeah. So you know
as
that
overhearing that.
she matches the description of the person who spoke with Jeremiah at the establishment. Before what's
About the slaves and
Yes.
all that.
trafficking and all the fun times.
Oh,
If you would like to approach her, I can attend with you, just in case matters become pressing and you need assistance.
no. I kind of want to see what she does on her own. Unless anybody else thinks we should approach and talk to her.
If you don't approach her first and you kind of wait it out, if that's what
Mhm.
I'm picking up, she will eventually approach you with Marla at her side.
Oh, that's
Marla will walk up to you, tensely at first, and say, "For your loss, I can put forward not enough gratitude, Lady Ordric. But I have matters of import. I understand that now is a somber time for you, but regarding the council, there is much to discuss."
Is she being sincere or rude?
The vibe is kind of a mix of both.
Uh, sorry, John. So essentially, she wants to talk business already. She's ready to get to work.
Yep, corpse isn't even like done dropping down the cliff, and I guess that's a way of putting it. The corpse isn't even cold. Corpse isn't even done tumbling down the cliff.
Corpse hasn't hit the water yet.
Corpse hasn't even hit the water yet. It's like, oh god, what is it like? It's like, damn it, oh my god, it's like there's something like that on the tip of my brain that's funny, and I can't think of what it is, so I can't give you a good reference and make a hilarious joke. But it was funny. The thing that I was doing.
The thing, yeah.
So back to the point. Yeah, she seems sincere, but at the same time, she's also being a bit rude, bringing it up here at this time.
Yeah, that's fine. We can.
Gil is totally mean mugging her over Star's shoulder.
I know that in our discussion with the War Magier, there was definitely some favoritism from him to you. And seeing as you are a de facto member of the council now, I wish to make sure you are made aware of the circumstances politically that we're currently embroiled in. So that
Can I ask you a quick question out of character?
fire.
Is she a de facto member, or is she officially just a member?
De de facto would basically mean if she wishes to remain, like, basically it's not a you have to do this situation, it's a your dad died, you get to do it if you want, and if you don't want to, then we'll fill the slot with someone else.
Okay.
Because House Ordric, as you know, is plentiful. Like, there are several, like, lines of it, like, that are not the royal line like she is. So, if she opts out of being a member of the council, they'll just go to the next heir, effectively. So, regarding our situation, the Magier may have professed some interest in helping you or us or what have you. It may have promised you great things, but to be sure, we do not wish for conglomerate rule in this place. If they know about some of the kind of gestures around to the space, secrets that your family keeps, it may be the case that they would wish to correct the things they consider vile to ensure that the laws of the conglomerate are maintained. They've tried before. I wouldn't put it past him to try and put himself in good graces with you so that he can exert control later.
Question.
Yeah.
Can I shapeshift into the same cat I was on the night of that and hop on Sarah's shoulder?
There is nothing barring you from doing so.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Marla wasn't present, so she doesn't understand the gesture. The strange woman, the mysterious woman, was present, and you're expecting some sort of guilty reaction when you do it. But the response that she gives is actually quite breaking, situation breaking. It seems to kind of just create a paradigm completely askew from a funerary rite. She starts laughing out loud in an almost maniacal way as everyone's like kind of turning towards her to like, what the fuck is happening? She's just in effectively Sarah's face. Like, well, she's not right up there. She was kind of behind Marla, but she just starts laughing like crazy. And Marla kind of moves to calm her down, and the woman finally stops laughing, but still a massive smile on her face. And she says, "So, she's done talking, right?" It kind of places her big arm, kind of pushes Marla aside. We can finally treat based on your friend's display.
What is it that you want to say?
Marla is insignificant to me. The council is insignificant to me. I care only for what was and what should be. You are a child of the Storm Heralds. Your family brought up great power, titles that were claimant for your blood and your blood alone. No one should have right over that besides you.
He'll ask Ordric if he should punch her.
Let her cook.
Okay.
It's kind of like a
Spicy.
let's see what's happening here. As you are aware, I would presume from the long-tailed cat's indubitably loose tongue, that I am up to no good in your city. Is that fair to say?
Very fair to say.
Good.
I hiss.
I really hate hiding about, but your friend, Ambren, insisted upon it. It would be untoward for Denisovans to walk about your city without escort, or proudly. You would think that we are coming to take what is yours. But it seems, young child, what is yours has already been taken from you by bureaucrats, sycophants, liars, cheats, thieves, and fools. But you are not a dumb child, are you? I can see it in your eyes, a fury. Not unlike our maidens. Perhaps your ancestors aren't too far removed from mine. I am not here to usurp. I am here to take what is mine. This mountain and the city that sits upon it are not mine by right. But unfortunately, due to your friend Reuben's efforts and the insistence upon the interlopers present in these lands, I have been unable to take what is mine without issue. I do not want to kill people who are innocent only of being born into a lie. I simply wish to take what is mine by right. Surely you can understand that. I have had to kill, though. Fort Ordeals was a horrible affair. The first of many. My commanders have taken the barony of Ulamon to the south. Very few stood up against them, and those with the bravado to do so were burned out of their homes, pushed to hide like feral dogs in the woods.
Oh, get it? Because they're dogs.
Yeah, she said what she said.
That's racist.
They're so racist.
It is.
Wow.
It's racist because they were dog people.
They were dog people.
They were
dog people.
carnivores.
So I do want to make sure. Okay, obviously, racism bad. Like I agree, she bad. But I'm not playing her off as a racist to make her bad. She is also bad for other reasons.
Generally bad.
She is not bad just because she's a racist. And she's not racist because she's bad. She's bad and she's a racist. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And that's probably as far
Well,
saucy as I'm going to go. Again, if that was bad. But again, it'll be hinted at like a bit more later on. But yeah, she hates everybody who's not Dennis Hodgman.
Gina Carlo.
That's a very astute point to it, but yeah, she is. She's totalitarian. She's very much. Anyway, focusing up. So she says what she says, and moving into.
Said I want what's mine, mine.
I want what's mine. You should be able to understand that. Do you not want what is yours? You are in a position to take control here. These council members will have you think that they are necessary, but you know in your heart they are not. If you truly wish to have advisors, it looks like you have a group of your own already. If you need military might to help you take what's yours, I will grant it for an alliance. I will not conquer, control, or in any way invade your kingdom.
Guyura will interject. She'll kind of build herself up a little bit. I mean, she's physically not big, but she's got the bulk of her,
Armor.
artificer's armor. And she'll say, "What do you claim here, stranger?"
Here?
this eve of our grief?
Here I claim nothing. In Levidia I claim much. In the lands called Inundia between, I claim much. In Ulaman I claim much, and I've already taken much. We were granted right over lands because of our dragon patrons. Rights that were not upheld by elves in ancient times at the conclusion of the war. The war that your ancestors, I presume if you are a native of this place, hid from. As I said, we have no claimancy over this place. It is not ours. In fact, the individuals that you were most likely sired from were cowards themselves that ran from our people when we
Then what do
needed
you
them the
want?
most. I want an alliance. I want you to take what is rightfully yours, me to give you the power to do it, and then you to not give any succor to the conglomerate. That is what I want. For you to stay out of it.
Now can I punch her?
We're getting closer. But again, I think this is more Sarah's punch to throw. We wouldn't want to upset her now, would we?
No.
If you wish, I will also give you information regarding those that have caused your family harm. Marla says, "Wait, what?" She turns and looks back. Looks back at.
You!
She turns and looks back at her with a grin. Turns back. These fools really thought that their small, petty games were really of import to me. They are not. Like you, I have much bigger matters to attend to. You seek something I have already found. I wish for your city-state to remain out of this conflict. We can be friends. And if you don't wish to be, it could be a problem for us down the road, as everywhere around you will be filled with my people.
Aren't you already doing your business within my city?
I am. And not because of you. Now, if you were to take the power from those who have usurped it from you and your father, and you wished for me to leave, I would. Because I honor the title granted your father. I would honor the title you take as your own, as your birthright. If you wish for me to leave without issue, then do it. Take the crown.
I mean, you'd say that, like, she couldn't just do that without you.
She could try. Marla kind of looks like, "Stop it, you're ruining this. We do not need to come to open conflict. Sarah, please. I apologize."
That's enough, Marla.
She kind of stops and backs off, and you can see that the Denisophan was kind of raising her hand. And Queera, you don't know how Denisophan magic works, but you definitely got a vibe that winds were being drawn into her palm. You don't know how, because she made no components. She didn't do any finger wagging. She just seemed to be drawing essence into her palm. She then kind of looks to you. That's a good way of taking command. However, your current militia is run by her. So it will be a very strong symbol of strength you'll need to put forward to be able to stop them from throwing you off the cliff like your father. I'm sure if they wanted to do it more delicately, they could put it to their allies. The ones that dealt with your father. Marla turns and walks away at that. She just can't have any more of this. She feels like she's in danger, from what you can tell. And Gil, you get a vibe that Marla, like, is genuinely scared for her life. That seems to be coming from the connection
Okay.
of the spirit inside of you.
Where's Delamira? Has she been overhearing this?
If Delamira came with you, yeah, again, it would be up to you if you would have had her join your retinue or not.
I would have wanted her to join the
She's with you
retinue.
then.
And I would.
Her arms are crossed, and she kind of watches Marla walk off.
Don't let her leave.
I will not.
Like, I don't want her to leave. Like, I don't trust her to leave.
I will not. And you see Delamere kind of move to intercept Marla. If the conversation remains stagnant for a second, you would see that Delamere kind of stops her at the door, and Marla kind of crosses her arms similarly to how Delamere was started there, and kind of almost like with a huff, kind of turns back into the room and moves back into the audience.
Okay, during that, I would like to look at the other council members and just kind of like gauge, like, I'm assuming everyone's watching this since like Crazy Lady was cackling like a goddamn witch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then like
Some people have turned their attention back to the conversations they were having. Regarding the council, though, you would note that by this point, and well before this conversation started, the goblin would have left. He does not care.
like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
tracks.
that's enough for me. I am out. You would see that Cartonex is kind of engaged in conversation with attendants of the council, but it seems like they're more talking about stuff that's more jovial than other conversations you've kind of seen, overheard, or partook in. It seems like they're genuinely reminiscing about Terran and genuinely actually honoring his memory by being here.
Okay.
Jeremiah Bartlett was kind of left behind by Marla and the Denisovin when they approached, and he seems to be kind of standing by himself. After Delamira Marla conflict, Marla will find kind of like a safe haven standing next to him, like power in numbers kind of deal. They're trying to have somebody at the party they're hanging out with. Ambrin's kind of just wandering around, almost like he's confused, like he doesn't even know where he is. It's genuinely like, as you kind of take and engage this, you would notice that that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But every so often we'll get stopped by somebody, a short conversation will happen, and the person that was talking to them will kind of leave with kind of a also confused face on their on a look on their face. But that's basically, as you're kind of through this conversation looking around, what you're seeing regarding the council members.
So when Ambrin talks to people and they have that confused look on their face, is it more because like he was being weird and they're confused,
You're
or
not
is it like
sure from like just looking on at a distance. You would actually have to hear the discourse to know for certain.
okay? I'm not leaving
Your
Sarah
elder-
to do that.
Yeah, your elvish ears are good, but I do want to make sure I stress, like, there is an ambient sound that, or ambient sound that's kind of present here,
Make
of like
it hard.
water flowing, right?
Yeah.
And also the wind from the cliff outside.
Yeah. So like water, wind, and talking.
Yep.
There's no way in hell.
Right.
Okay. All right. I'll just keep watching
Cool.
around and like keeping an eye on
So your
everyone else.
your conversation with the Dennis Onfin is kind of tense. It kind of comes to a head at that point, Marla and everything. And she lets it sit for a bit, the Dennis Onfin, just kind of waiting for you to kind of take the reins of the dialogue. She's kind of basically thrown the ball in your court, so to speak.
Yeah, I got you. So you said that you want this mountain, though, right?
I don't. It's not mine. It's yours.
But if you want it to be mine, then why are you conducting the business that you are within my city?
So you see, when you are at war and the opposite side wishes to take solace somewhere, you do not let them go to ground. Reuben's efforts to make this place a safe haven for him and his fleet are known to me. I must be ready to usurp it. And unfortunately, my only engagement here has been underground with the I can't even say the word. Duplicitous members of your ruling body. The ones who stole power away from the Storm Herald, and the ones who killed him. And your father. And more
Yes,
than
I
likely
can.
you next.
Yes, yes, yes. And I already thought that. Well, thank you for the offer, but I'm gonna politely decline. Get your shit and get off my mountain,
I will
okay?
let you know one thing and one.
Keep your Jehovah Witness shit out of here.
I will heed your words, Storm Herald, but I will note one thing before I leave.
Hmm.
I cannot allow Reuben and his fleets to be given any succor. If he comes here seeking a safe haven from our fleets, I will have no choice but to not only destroy you, all you care for, and the ground you and your blood have earned by right, but I will do so with your people's own power. It is my understanding through my conversations with the old man, she says as she kind of looks over at Ambran, that you seek out old wards that protected this island from weather. If you wish to see me again, I currently reside in one of them. The Storm Isle, to the east. I will leave it at your request, my liege. She bows, kind of like pulling her little skirt up daintily, and she'll walk away.
I want to call after, see you soon.
The nerd.
I mean, can we just
Yeah.
kill? I
It
mean,
was-
there's like
maybe we could-
there's like this out of character thought. It's like, can we just like? I feel like we're trapped
Two.
in the cutscene.
So I will
Yeah.
I will explain to you
I was-
something. I'm going to explain something to you, Jijo, and I just want to make sure it's very, very clear.
Mhm.
I explained that her big sky ship is parked right outside your keep.
Mm-hmm.
I also mentioned that she was the one who took down Fort Ordeals, and you, more than anyone else who played in that Patreon game, should understand what that means about her power level. She was the Lady Mage at Fort Ordeals. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, you are quote unquote trapped in a cutscene, but I don't think it's Sara's intention to shed blood on this holy ground on the day of her dad's funeral. Is that a fair assessment, Kimmy?
Yeah, and I'm afraid we probably couldn't take her anyway.
That's a fair assessment as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. No. I'm not saying. I
We
just
can wait
like.
until she gets outside of the holy ground and then just shoot her.
Yeah.
You could attempt.
There we go.
You could attempt to shoot her. We could definitely go murder hobo. I don't mind it.
I do have a gun.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
John
the
Dylan.
did
ship
give
has
me
a gun. The ship has a
The
gun.
ship has a gun
Yeah, but they have a bigger ship.
with bigger
Ah,
guns.
Probably with
And for
bigger
those of you
guns,
who
yeah.
are watching at home, or those of you who are familiar with the other Threshold games, you'll know that she bodied conglomerate ships with a single shot from her big whales. So, just to be certain where we're at on the who has the firepower here, there might be another reason why Ruben is leaving. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint.
Is he scared?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, that was the message, right? Or
That was
it,
the message.
did I miss something?
That was
Okay.
you picked up on all my subtle hints. Yes. More so than John picked up on my subtle hints, the prelude to this game. My kid is a complete dork. Anyway. Gosh, he's not even replying. His mobile network must be bad, huh?
You're a dork.
Scaring, you should have called her eyes out while she was standing there.
Still an
Or he
option.
didn't want me to punch her.
Still an option if you wish to engage her.
No, I'm
Just
just
yes.
like I think all of the context, right, kind of
Mm.
keeps her safe.
Mhm.
Does the context like are we I mean how
Are you
vulnerable are we? Yeah.
Oh, not very. So you're doing okay. So the main thing that you need to focus on is that the keep and the Ordric honor guard, which is still only just like a handful of people, like 3 or 4, I think it was, are still yours. But they're the only people with weapons here.
Mhm.
So Delamira and the others are allowed to keep their weapons because they're the honor guard of the guy you just threw off a cliff. And now they're Sara's. Again, putting the funerary rite just like as they chucked him off a cliff. It's hilarious, but again, I think that committing to the sky is kind of a bit more. It was a bad idea. I should have just had you bury the people regular.
No, I like it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. I
I like
appreciate
it.
that.
Too late. It's too late.
No, I
Do
think
it.
it's
Yeah.
fitting.
It's interesting. It certainly is interesting.
Johnny.
I was
it's
low-key worried they
interesting.
tossed him into the ocean and then like it was like a perpetual gripe of the sea elves that they're just dumping bodies in the ocean
It just
in their backyard.
it's just royal corpses. They bury normal people regular. Like yeah,
Okay.
only people who die royal or like noble have the privilege of being chucked off a cliff.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna put him on a giant metal
Only if you'd
platform
be
and
so
push
lucky.
it into a sky like Frankenstein.
So
Be fried.
here's what like Gil will see in like Quiura's mind, kind of like this image forming of like this giant whale kind of just swimming past, and like Ordris and the keep is like this little sea castle underneath. And it's like if the whale is swimming past, then we need to like take care of our business here before we can deal with the whale. I don't know how Kuyura can really put that into words.
Sure, and again,
Right
mental
now.
imagery is fine. So the main thing to focus on too, Gil, the telepathic communication can be both ways. People can kind of feed information into you via that. But again, I want to make sure you understand. You control the phone. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like,
Mhm.
if you want to like,
Hang up.
if you want to have people be able to broadcast into your mind, you just say you're open, right? But if you kind of want to
Yeah.
just like close it off so that you can't be communicated with outside, that's fine
I feel like
too.
right now because like it's still really new, he doesn't fully
He's leaving the phone off the ringer. Yeah, I got it.
yeah, like so he's open.
Yeah, he's getting all the messages. I understand.
Yeah.
So, that said, as we're kind of winding down, and I just want to make sure the focus is very clear for this next part because the die has been cast. We understand where we're at, and the choices that I needed to have made have been made. So let's just make sure we take it all in. and understand where we're at so that we all have no confusion when we come back to it. It sounds like the goal of Sarah at this point is housekeeping, cleaning up the house. Now, whether or not that means dissolving the council or not is a choice you'll make along the way. Or if your goal is to just straight up become the Storm Herald, even without the Storm Herald's powers, just taking the title, so to speak, that can also be the goal. It's up to you. But from what I understand, dealing with the problems in the council, dealing with the problems of or leadership, and also dealing with the problems of the control of the militia at this point are high on the agenda. Is that fair to say, Kimmy?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I add one more thing to like the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with justice for her father and like her father's murder and like actually oh shit, because Esai's about to get fucking
Yep.
yeah,
I,
so making sure that
I
I
don't
mean if
feel bad.
Esai dies, whatever, right? But there's the real killer's running around somewhere.
Right. And so another couple things we need to kind of focus on, which that is kind of one of the parts of housekeeping here, the
Yeah.
tidying of one's kind of estates here. Syndrix has a direct connect who has basically pointed out details regarding what has happened here. That wasn't a thing that just kind of happened and got brushed under the rug. It hasn't come back up because you haven't been able to communicate with your mother at this point. She's not going to be invited
Yeah.
to the funeral. You've been busy doing other stuff. But that's still on the table. The cult is involved. That is a part of this conspiracy. That's not a thing that went away. That was very much something you didn't imagine, Chicho. It's real. That is a part of the conspiracy. On top of that, we have an understanding that there are members of the council who are not as engaged with the politics of the council as they might well should be. And there are others who are overly connected with the politics. You have connects to those individuals who are not connected who may be able to apply you support at need be, and have already done so in a limited measure, but possibly could do more so if they are pushed by the right individuals. You have your contact with Cardenex. Scarin can act as your advisor and your ambassador to that council member. You also could find the possible allies outside of Ordric, or Ordris rather. Gil is connected with the peoples of. Oh God, I was about to say the name of the prison. Sorry.
Alcatraz?
Yeah,
No. So I'll say just because you would have looked it up later, but the prison that I mentioned is something you can look up. It's called Iglontheth, and it also relates to the weird snake cat that I mentioned. It's called a oh God, it's a snappered. Basically, it's a snake leopard. It's a word that is a combination of the word snake and leopard, and it's basically a really long snake with feathers for a mane and a cat-like face that is the
Like-
size of a lion.
Quetzalcoatl?
It's not a Quetzalcoatl, but it's kind of in that same vein. What is it called? Magic the Gathering Snake Leopard. It is called Serpopard.
Mm-hmm.
Serpopard.
I like Schnepper better.
Yeah. Anyway, point is that was what was kind of depicted on the that statue there, and what that relates to is the prison of the Ulatharid that was cast out. You recognize it as being a site that was built by ancient Ordric people and buried at sea, due north of Ordric. It was a prison for one of Ordric's competition. But yeah, it was noted in the histories, and why it caught you kind of like as these are making sense, they're connecting. because they put one of them away in a natural prison. That's a thing of looking at too, but funnier that one. And then ultimately you have Tommel, who's awesome and will be able to help you kind of like maneuver magically with the conglomerate. Whether Tommel trusts the conglomerate or not, or whether the nature of the Denisovans magic is going to be something beyond Tommel. Everybody has something to apply to this shadow war that's brewing. But I think what we're looking at here is that it could be the case that the shadow agents, and again, looking at the room again, we kind of have the members of the Shadow War present, for those of you who weren't kind of paying attention. Obviously, at the top of the Ordric-focused room, we have the first member of the Shadow War, Ordric, and those that he created. Then we have those who serve the Denisotvans, the Foreign Crown, the Dragon Crown, and we have those that serve in Levidia, those who serve the peoples who swore allegiance to the elves. And last we have the imprisoned.
Whoa.
All here at the end of this chapter of the story. Thanks for watching those that did. We will pick up in, I want to say it's going to either be late February or like mid-March. In the meantime, those who are watching at home, we will be doing Cyberpunk in January. Lots and lots of Cyberpunk in January. Some of the folks who are present here won't be regulars. Some folks that you are familiar with from older Cyberpunk stories will be involved in the games, and you'll just see who's coming, who's going. But once January's done, Cyberpunk will be put back on the shelf for a little while. It's like playing with my toys for a little bit. And then in February, I'm going to try some other stuff. This may involve giving the seat away and having someone else run. This may involve me picking up a game I've never run before. Thinking either Cthulhu or Cult. I haven't decided which of the two best
Those are good
fits my
options.
idea. Also, I believe, again, like I said, the seat will be available. I think there's at least one, maybe two people who are interested in stealing those. I know there's somebody for Fridays that's interested in stealing my seat. But yeah, the main focus, and I'll be blunt since this is, I think, besides the Patreon game, which is going to be lighthearted as fuck, it's called Paladin Pals, and it's about 6 Kennelborn paladins running around being Kennelborn folks. I think Johnny's in there.
Yes, I'm watching it.
Yes, the best boys.
He's a puppy.
Yeah.
He's a puppy boy.
Yeah.
But
Wait, when is that running?
that'll be on Friday, the 22nd.
Whoop,
So
whoop.
it's Paladin Patrol.
Paladin
God.
Patrol.
Paladin Patrol.
I
That's
love it.
really good game.
Paladin.
APOB.
Gain inspiration? Oh, why? It's the end of the game. Well, it's the end of the game until much later. So I want to be kind of blunt and a matter here, and I just want to stress it out because I haven't really brought it to anyone's attention, and I haven't had it videotaped. And I just want to make sure it's clear. So there have been a number of factors in the Dungeons and Dragons kind of system, outside of the mechanics of the game, more the politics behind the game itself, that have been weighing heavy on me for a while. We had the debacle with the open gaming license, and it was solved because a lot of kind of public uproar about it kind of came forward. Some of the bigger, more noticed individuals started saying they were no longer going to play the game, started making their own games, etc., etc. Once they solved the problem, I was pretty much sated. Opening up the OGL further than it was open, for me, was a step in the right direction. It was great. Very wonderful. Glad to see it. However, what I've seen beyond that point and moving into 2024 is that the goal, at least from what I can see, is that the game will be shifted into D&D 1, which is kind of a 5.5 situation. But from what it sounds like, it's going to be mainly focused in the D&D 1 voice or video tabletop that they have planned for it. And not much support will be making its way out of there. Again, I'm not an insider. I don't know the details for certain. But from what I've seen from my position, is that it's not going to be very third-party friendly. And what that means is Roll20, the VTT that we use, and the one that I've kind of put a lot of resources into over the last decade, may not be as closely affiliated with Dungeons and Dragons as I would like it to be. So that's one reason amongst a number of other reasons that I'm putting Dungeons and Dragons kind of on the shelf after 2023 and wanting to branch out into other games to see what's available. I also want to take time to work on the lore of the Unending Spiral and kind of make it more neutral outside of Dungeons and Dragons, because as of right now, the identity of the Spiral is very much imbued, kind of ingrained with the lore. There's 5 eras of the campaign setting. There are 5 editions of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if anybody ever caught on to that. Each edition having a relation to an era that the game has been run in. 4th edition being called the Age of Heroes because the characters in that game are insanely overpowered. That's another thing I talked with some people about, like going back.
I think you mean to be live still, right?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still live.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean to.
Okay.
I want to get this on video.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm wanting to make sure that anybody who is curious as to why
Got it.
everything's happening, why I'm going full cyberpunk mode, et cetera, et cetera. Again, my interests are varied. I obviously the Discord shows that. Like I have several different channels for several different games. I'm picking up new games all the time. I'm wanting to have fun with people that I think are fun and interesting to play games with. And for me, D&D right now, it just feels like it's complicated. And then on top of that, the recent news of Wizards of the Coast having a number of its employees laid off by Hasbro as parent company, being something to me, especially right before the holiday season, and like the heartlessness of that. Also, the just vast number of individuals who are being fired from WotC, which Wizards of the Coast being the only kind of department of Hasbro that's actually gaining them anything, for me, it just seems like they're not as invested in the game as I would want them to be, which doesn't really put much of a metric for me to be as invested in the game either, if that makes any sense. So the main thing for me is I don't want you guys to think that I don't want to play awesome, cool story games with you and like tell great stories either in my campaign setting or inside of other worlds. I 100% want to do that. That's something I've been doing since I was a young lad. I've been writing these crazy stories, on paper and then now into, notepads on my computer that just get lost easily, and you've seen me struggle to find notes. I just want to make sure that it's very clear that I still want to do that. And if a game that I put forward is not something you're interested in doing, I don't want you to get out of your comfort zone to play in a game with me just because it's my flavor of the month or what I'm wanting to do. And I want to also embolden everybody here, like if there's a game you want to run, be it Dungeons and Dragons, what have you, if there's any resource I can provide for you, and you are a member of this community, even if you're not a patron, that's fine. Then I'm going to try and put.
Is it fine?
It is. Right now, I think
It's fine. It's fine.
Tom's paying for like 10 people, and he hasn't switched it back yet. So I'm confused by that. I'm hoping he's okay. I know he works a very lucrative job.
Honey, that's your pay pig, honey.
I know he is definitely my sugar daddy, for sure. And he has a great green screen. Also, I want to make sure that is brought forward and made clear. But yeah, the main thing is I want my space this Twitch channel, this Discord, everything, to be a space that emboldens people not just to play in games, but also to run games if they feel like they're ready to do so. If they want to just play in games with people, I want that to be a space. I want this to be a space that's possible in. And that's it. That's mainly it. I feel like it's kind of a strange time right now, and I feel like the main thing for me is in this strange time I can just keep going with it, be caught in the rut that I feel like I'm in. Not with this game so much. I really think the narrative here is top notch. I just feel like, again, with the other two games being a part of the Threshold tripartite story that I want to tell, I want to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page there. And I want to make sure I'm on the same page with it as well. So that's why I'm kind of setting it aside for a bit, and why I want to kind of move into other stuff to broaden my horizons and kind of just learn more about just tabletop role playing in general. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, those that did, and I guess I'll leave it for you guys. If you have anything you want to throw out, say in response to that on camera, we can say it after as well. Your call. If not, I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream. Thanks for watching.
Get ready for the Hogwatch next
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks.
Capitalism is the real enemy.
Capitalism is the real enemy.
Yeah.
Burn corp. Oh shit.